Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to discuss some ways to scrapbook all about you. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrappinkaty.com/home, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking.
Okay, this month's sketch for this sketch hop comes from For the Love of Pretty Paper Facebook group. And you can see right here, it's got a row of circles with different embellishments coming off them. Of course, the title over one, the journaling on one. And then I'm assuming your photos go right here. And then the theme for this month is kind of like currently or telling a story, something like that. So again, I've printed this sketch and then I have printed a photo of me. And of course, I've got the Happy New Year on the bottom. And then it's got, kind of like an overlay that kind of has some gold parts to it. And I'm going to do this video a little bit different. I'm not going to walk you through what I'm actually going to use. As I use things, I'm going to introduce them. And then that way, if you have them, you can grab them if you want to recreate this layout, or you can shop the links below, or you can definitely just use what you have on hand. So let me grab some things and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to build everything on a piece of white 12 by 12 cardstock, although you won't actually see this cardstock at all once I get done layering. Okay, I'm going to start with a gutted piece of black cardstock. If you are new here, the reason I gut my cardstock, first and foremost, is to just save paper. Even though I have tons, I'm probably like you. I just like to save paper. I also utilize that inside for other elements of the layout. Sometimes this is actually black core cardstock from Close to My Heart, so I only have a little bit left. So that's why I gutted this one. And then I've also gutted a piece of gold shimmer paper. And I gutted this one for the same reason. There's just no reason why all of this pretty gold paper should be hidden. So went ahead and gutted it, and I definitely can use that on other projects. Now for my centerpiece, my piece that's going to go over this, I am going to actually add adhesive directly to my layout base because that gold glitter paper, sometimes it's really hard to get things to stick down on it. So by adding adhesive directly to my layout base, I'm certain where that tape's going to be. And because this is going to go behind a memory protector in my scrapbook album, I don't have to worry that it's not taped around the sides. Now for this piece, I have trimmed this down to 11.5 by 11.5. This is one of the new collections from Stampin' Up. It is called Square Snippets, and it's just got various squares, 3 by 3. It's got 4 by 4. I just love the bright colors, but I don't want the bright colors on this one. So it has some really good back patterns to it, and that is what I have decided to use. Of course, y'all know me and my graph paper or my ledger paper. Really thought about using that one, but I didn't want to bring that in. So I was really liking this one. And it has a subtle distressed look to it. I don't know if that's actually going to translate to my layout, but I still liked it. So we are going to go ahead and center this. Now right now, there's not a top and a bottom and a left side and a right side to this layout. But like I said, this paper is distressed. So once I get it adhered down, I'll kind of take a look at it and see if there are definitely elements that I want at the top or the bottom. So right here, you can see some like little splatters. I'm thinking that I want that at the bottom right. So yeah, let's do that. So when I first thought about this layout, I was going to use, or I wanted to use, the splash of sparkles. for a couple of reasons. I liked that it had the gold on it because you remember my photo has gold. So I really liked this one, and I thought since I had a black shirt that it would really make that pop and it would have lots of color. And then you've got the back sides that don't have gold. You've just got a lot going on here. And then you've also got some patterns that have silver on them. But then once I actually started trying to lay out the elements that I wanted, because remember, this layout has to do with things that I'm currently doing or that I love. Once I started laying out those elements, it just really didn't work with this being the base of the layout. So, but that is where I got the gold trim to this layout. I also pulled out, this is a new 6x6 mix and match, very heavily Valentine themed. You've got the back sides of these actually have little Valentine sentiments. But looky here, it's got a camera, which of course I love scrapbooking, so a camera has to do with that. And then it has a cute little coffee cup, which y'all know if you follow me, I love my coffee. And then I also thought that I'm going to pull in some of this just in little bite-sized pieces. And in order to do that, I am going to pull out my 2 3/8 inch punch. And I am just going to punch these little images out. Because remember, the sketch has a row or 2 rows of circle elements. Now, while you could use any elements, I even briefly thought about bringing in hearts. I've had the Made with Love on my desk for several days. I thought about bringing in the hearts, but you can see how big this heart is. Let me grab my photo. So I knew that I was not going to cut my photos into the circle shapes. That's just not something I do on a regular basis. And since this layout is all about me, I definitely wanted it to have a feel that it really is me, and my personality, creative wise, is coming out. So I did not want my circle or my photos to be circle. So I immediately knew that I was going to probably have to use only 4 circles. And so, like I said, I thought about doing the hearts, but there's not enough room for the hearts. I didn't want different size hearts. I do want to keep it uniform, so all the same size to mimic the sketch. So I decided to just punch those. And I think since these are pink and purple, I'm going to try to come in with the purple, maybe the blue. Yeah, maybe I'll bring in blue. So let me go ahead and punch this one. The good thing about using photos where you're either wearing black or you have black and white is that you really can bring in any color and it's going to match. And so I love doing that because then I'm not really held to a certain product line. I can mix and match, which I love doing. And in order to make this easier, I think I'm going to cut right here. Let's see where my circle gets me. So do I want to add, that's the question, is do I want to add that? And I don't think I want to. So I'm actually going, that's a score blade. I'm going to cut that. And yeah, so I like that gold on there. So let's just start with the purple and blue. And then I'll separate those pinks and then probably not bring any more pinks in.
Okay, I am almost done with product placement, so to speak. I just want to walk you through some other things that's going to make documenting me easy. I have pulled the Joyful Squares die cuts and stamp set. I love that these squares, you've got a solid one and a frame. And then you've also got some photo corners, a scalloped edge that I've already cut from gold foil paper. And then there was a circle on there, but I didn't want to use it. You've also got some stamp sets or stamped images that I can use to kind of make that go off of those circles. And then there is this currently loving. Now, I've already used this stamp set on another layout already this year, but I have pulled it just because it has some good sentiments. I do want the XOs and then a solid heart, and then maybe these tiny hearts from the Made with Love suite. I love these dies. Stay tuned for a project that I actually collaborated on, and you can get a free guide to use with your Made with Love suite. Now, usually I put my photo on the right side of my layouts, on one page layouts. So this time I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to put it on the left. And then I'm just going to start looking at all of these elements. I did realize that I needed more pinks or just some other elements that I could pull in. So I'm just going through this 6x6 mix in. I like this frame, maybe as a mat behind my photo. I like that one, but I don't think I'm going to use it. And then there are these little journaling lines. So I think I might do that. And then remember, I wanted to cut the solid heart. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this pattern just to pull some more of those pinks and reds in and then get those cut offline. Now I've cut those two, and then as far as my frame goes, I'm just going to kind of place that right here just to kind of see if I want it. I do like the pop of color, but I'm really not certain enough to actually adhere it down yet. So I am going to be thinking about that. And then, of course, while I think about things, I like to go ahead and do what I know is going to happen. And so I knew that I wanted to add some 3D foam tape behind this little white frame. So I am just taking Stampin' Up! Dimensional strips. These are really good because you can cut them to any size, and they are pretty thin in width. So you'll see how tiny this frame is. It's just going to allow me to measure that frame up against these strips and then get that cut down and adhered down to this frame. Now, hindsight, I probably would have made this little cute element a shaker. That would have been perfect because it is a square. It would have been perfect to cut some acetate and put some little gold sequins or something under there. But I did not. And it's okay because the layout is cute anyway. So I have that. That's definitely going to go at the top left of this little grouping of circles. And then, of course, I have the 3 circles that I punched. Now, I want the coffee cup and the camera separated. And then I was thinking that I kind of like the straight edges of the square and the journaling line. So I'm going to look at the stamp set. And I love this little kind of call out or sunshine or something. And I think by putting it down by that purple and blue gold circle that I punched, it'll square that out nicely. And then I think I'm going to use that heart kind of on the lower level of the coffee cup, of course, because I love coffee. And then I'll find something else to do up by that camera. Now, if you are wondering how I kind of decide where I'm going to stamp, truth be told, I usually just stamp it and worry about it later. Y'all have seen me many a times mess up on my layouts and then have to figure it out. But on this one, I am going to go ahead and ink this up on a white piece of cardstock. This is just scratch cardstock. And then kind of fill it out and see if it works. Now, I am using Close to My Heart's color Peach. I did not have Flirty Flamingo ink, and then I thought Real Red would just be too bright. So I do end up liking the peach. It's going to be very, very subtle, but I do end up just liking, like I said, kind of that subtleness. And I think that this image is going to bring in those, the stars and all that stuff that kind of went off the circles in the sketch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up where I think that circle is going to overlap this stamped image with that camera. And that's how I kind of lined up where I wanted that stamped. And then I am going to go ahead off camera and pretty much put all of these elements in place. Now, because this circle has a lot of white to it, it was just kind of blending in. One of the colors in the mix and match is Azure Afternoon. So I've just taken the Stampin' Right marker and I'm just going to outline these circles. Now I end up only doing these circles, but I do save this marker and I do some doodling dots at the very end of the video. Now for this, there's no reason why I should waste that blue part. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that off since the majority of it will be hidden. And then I am going to place this circle down. Again, kind of using the camera circle as a guide, but also wanting to see a lot of that stamped image behind there. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of this off camera and then we'll come back and revisit it. So you'll see here, everything's done. I have added some dimensionals to the back of that heart and I've put that down. I didn't want it overlapping my photo. And then remember that frame, I really didn't like it behind my photo, so I have cut that lengthwise. And then I am going to use that as an offset at the top and the bottom. Now, if you remember that sketch, those circles kind of went edge to edge. And so I kind of wanted to mimic the edge to edge aspect of the sketch, but not necessarily the circle elements. So I am going to go all the way to the edge on these. And then, like I said, I'm going to kind of offset them. And I think that that is going to, again, just kind of add some interest to this layout. And because this layout is all about me, I've already discussed not adding circular photos. And the other thing that kind of adds my own personal touch is y'all know that I just kind of love that funky feel to layouts. And I think this little offset of these 2x6 pieces does that. Now for these X and O's, I did adhere that gold foil paper to some adhesive sheets, and that is making it really easy to just peel away that adhesive sheet and get those attached in this lower left corner of this little square up here. I'm going to kind of straighten up that O, and I love that that O had a little heart in it. I will end up using that heart later as well. Now, for my stamped images, again, for the Joyful Squares, I think I'm going to use it over the Currently Loving. And there are several images. This one is a little date, and I am using the Azure Afternoon Stampin' Spot for that. And then there are two little sentiments. One says, "Love these days." Now, this sentiment is pretty heavy, so I'm going to go ahead and put it at the bottom over to the left. And it does have a distressed look, but I'm going to go ahead and re-stamp that just to make sure I get good even coverage. And the T and the these definitely is distressed. So that has nothing to do with my stamping. And then, of course, the other sentiment I'm using says little snippets of joy. And I love this one because it really kind of just, again, reiterates me. I'm a joyful person. If you really see me in person, you may not think so, but there are little snippets of joy, and definitely scrapbooking, photo taking, and then coffee definitely bring those out. I went ahead and inked up these two little hearts. This is another image that comes from the Joyful Squares, and I think that this rounds out that little grouping. I am going to go ahead and put a gold heart right over that, a gold arrow right over that heart. And then since all three of those little aspects have gold, I've decided to go ahead and add the little heart from the O right on the camera. And now all four of those little groupings have some gold in there, but yet my gold is kept pretty much to the center. Now right here, I'm thinking that I did this arrow with the adhesive backing, and I did not. So I'm going to struggle with this for just a little bit. And then I realized that, oh, that doesn't have backing. So I'll get that adhered down. Now, another way to scrapbook about you, if if you find it as hard as I do, just remember that when your kids or your family are going to be going through your albums when you are gone, or maybe, when you go through them at an older age, the most important thing is just including a photo. And of course, date that photo. Now, back in our grandparents' times, you would flip the photo over and you would see the date. But of course, now you can just add the date to the scrapbook layout. And then you'll see here, I just have a couple of snippets of things that make me happy or tick right now. And then I can add just limited journaling. Now I am going to add a trimmed down dimensional underneath the point of that arrow, since that heart was added with dimensionals. And then that kind of just solidifies all of those little groupings. I do end up playing with some gold sequins. I add those. I do end up trying to play with some ribbon on that arrow. I thought about cutting down this ribbon. Now, this is not Azura Afternoon. It's balmy blue, but I thought that it would work anyway. And it was a little too wide, so I thought by cutting it in half and tying a bow, it would work. But I end up just going with the gold and white thread.
I almost forgot to walk you through the Made with Love guide. So what it is that the me and then some other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators are bringing you a guide each month featuring a particular suite. And so the month of January is the Made with Love suite. So these are the projects that you will get a guide for. You will also get sketches and measurements to make these. So we've got this fun little peekaboo card. We've got this fun little purse with some embossing details. We've got this cute little gift bag with some pull-out tags. We've got this cute little card, and it is a fun fold. And then we have two-page layouts. So we have this one, and then we have now this one. Now these layouts are a little bit different than the ones in the handout that you'll get. You will get it free with a $50 purchase on my website, or you can just purchase it outright for $15. So if you are another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you want to incorporate this as a class in a private setting, then you can just purchase the PDF from me. I will leave links down below so you can check all of that out. Again, remember that a $50 purchase will get you the guide for free, and you might as well just add this suite to your cart, and then you'll have almost everything needed. There are tiny little things that have been added, but not much.
Okay, so let's see this finished project. Now, of course, I didn't use all the circles. I do think that I brought in the elements that kind of overlap or go off the circles. And then, of course, and most importantly, this layout is full of things that I love and represent my crafty style and my personality, which is what Layouts About You should do. Here are some still shots and close-ups of all of those elements that I added off camera. Again, you can shop any of the links down below if you would like any of these products. And don't forget to click that playlist and check out the other girls that are participating in the YouTube Sketch Hop. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend.